Hey, so let's talk media blasting, right? Well, you've got your car here ready to go. Or is it ready to go might be the question. Those things I want to cover on this video. Things you want to do before sending your car to have it media blasted. Even go over some of the reasons why you might want to have it media blasted versus trying to sand it all yourself. One of the biggest things is all these weird contours in the firewall and everything around here, trying to sand it out, kind of pain in the butt. Media blasting gets it all cleaned out. Metal's ready for paint. I mean, it's really pretty efficient. Downsides are the cost. This used to cost about $350. Used the same guy for 20 plus years, did a phenomenal job, helped me out a lot of cars. He retired. Good for him, bad for us. It's going to cost us a little more. I've got another guy lined up. It's going to cost me $800 to blast the shell, minus the doors and the trunk deck, just the main body shelf, not even the bottom side, just what you're seeing here on the top. Now, it's a new experiment. I've never used it before. I hope he does a good job. We're about to find out, I suppose. But again, let's get into what you need to do first before you spend the money to get your car media blasted. So let's start with the pros here on the media blasting. See all this rust in here still? It's not horrible. I don't think it's rusted through by any stretch of the imagination, but it all needs cleaned up. Now, some of the stuff is no longer visible once you assemble the car, but I like just to clean all this stuff off. And the advantage of media blasting is, well, all these weird contours and cracks and crevices, it will clean all of that off and be a basically prepped and ready surface to be painted. So there's no more prep required. It does a great job of removing any of the remaining undercoating and stuff like that off the car body. Does a real nice job of cleaning everything, even like a little bit, see the rust in here, and get all that out and ready to go. Now you could try to hand sand all that, but all those strange contours, kind of a pain in the butt, and you still got to treat the metal technically before you paint it. The other thing about sandblasting spot welds or even welds is the best prep for welding. It gets everything out of that weld and cleans it up great. And things like here, like the window channel where you got some rust pitting, you're going to get all that cleaned out and resolved. So those are maybe some of the advantages of media blasting. Plus, you don't have to do the work. You're going to pay someone to do that for you. I'll have them come in through here. Even the door jams, there's such strange contours here and everything. Trying to sand that by hand, pain in the butt. So I'm gonna let him take care of all that. And even like the back seat here, have him sandblast all this, get all the remaining glue and adhesive off. Should come off pretty quick. Blast the inside of the quarter panels. And even here inside the convertible well here, a little bit of rust, not bad stuff, but it'll clean all that up right quick. So that's one of the reasons I like media blasting. Then as soon as I roll the thing back in the shop here, clean it up, just knock the dust off, hit it with epoxy primer. This will be sealed up and ready for body work and be a great base for building the rest of the car. Now let's cover some of the not so good things about sandblasting. See this long, flat, sweeping quarter panel? It's nice, like a nice contour, nice, correct shape right now. Media blast this wrong, you will warp the heck out of that panel and destroy it. Now this new guy, the old guy, I wouldn't have worried about it. Somehow he worked his magic. I would trust him with any car. But a new guy, I just don't know. So I went ahead and sanded off all the EDP. The only thing I want him to be focusing on is all the stuff inner structure. None of the large panels do I want him to media blast. I don't know, give the guy a chance. Maybe he can prove me that he can do it. But at this point now, I've sanded the tail panel, the quarter panels, the trunk lid. I'm not going to send that. But those are things that I just don't want to find out the hard way that was a bad decision. So that's something to be concerned with. Will they damage your panels? Best way to find out, get some references, ask around. Has he sandblasted cars before? I would not use a guy who typically sandblasts like, large industrial buildings or steel or heavy gauge metal, because sheet metal is a different monster altogether. All right, so you've heard the pros and cons of media blasting, right? So what will media blasting not remove effectively or potentially destroy the panels? Those things I want to cover next. Let's start here with the windshield. All that glue or adhesive, be it the butyl rubber or the urethane stuff, needs to be removed first. Now you can use something like, a drill with a wire brush. Get as much of that rubber gunk out that you can, because that was the secret, the rubber part. It just bounces right off and it does not cut through. And if you do get a guy to try to cut through, he's going to sit in that one spot for a long time. That's going to cost you more money and potentially damage the panel. So I would suggest going through, scraping all the rubbery goo, cleaning it up with one of these. That'll prep your window channel for the best results to get, because the biggest problem I'm trying to fight is that rust. You want to get down to that surface, and then basically it'll clean up real nice for you. You have a good foundation to build on. So that's the first part. The next thing is, let's talk about these cars. 50 years old. Anything's happened to them. or they've been sculpted out of Bondos we've been seeing on some of the panels on this car. If you've got some body filler that's more than an 1/8 inch thick, you need to either remove that first before sandblasting or expect there still to be some body filler on your panels when it comes back. Because if you, again, an experienced media blaster guy, if he gets into where he's finding a lot of body filler, if he's done this before, he'll know not to keep gouging at that body filler. He will destroy that panel. So that's when it comes into either expect body filler back on it or remove it before you send it to media blasting. You're like, man, John, that's what I wanted to pay someone to do this for. Well, I've learned some of this stuff the hard way over the years. But the guy I used to use, I get some panels back, has some body filler in it, same thing. Hey man, it was too thick to blast out. He was doing me a favor. So don't yell at a guy if he does that. Trust me, he was doing you a favor. But if you can locate, I'll show you a spot back here where the filler is bad, remove it first. All right, now this doesn't look necessarily all that bad. I can put the camera down like this, you're not really getting the full effect. This is almost, as I started saying, almost a 1/4 inch thick. So in areas like this, especially a flat panel, you'll want to remove that first or expect to have body filler still yet in this when you get it returned from the media blaster. So basically remove any kind of rubber and remove any kind of plastic body filler. And now let's talk about something else here. This is a spoiler, fiberglass. That will not survive media blasting. Now if you were just soda blasting, does a great job removing paint. Well, we're not going to be using soda, we're going to be using crushed glass on this car. So anything plastic or fiberglass, you need to remove off the car before taking it to media blasting. I'm also going to remove these doors. These are brand new doors. There's no reason to media blast these. And I'm going to strip the EDP coating off of them because I don't trust that to build off of. But again, they don't need to be on the car when going. So I'm going to remove the trunk deck and remove these doors in preparation to go. And something else that I've done to make my life and his life easier, I made a little body cart. It's out of 2x4s. Nothing fantastic, nothing crazy. Just screwed them together, bolted some lag bolts through the wood to hold those casters on there. So this will actually roll around real nice on his lot or basically on and off the trailer to get it where it needs to be. Last but not least, if it's really thick, some of this goop they put on for sealing things, same thing. I would probably find a way to, scrape that off, take like a screwdriver or a scraper. Scrape some of this stuff off before sending it to media blasting. Same thing, less chance of warping or damaging your panels. It only takes a few seconds to do that. That way I said, that's going to ensure you get a lot better results when you get it back. All right, so the next step for me is I'm going to pop the doors off this thing, the trunk deck off of that, scrape off some of the gummy pucky and schmutz all over the firewall and around the window channel. Then we'll get this thing put on the trailer and ready to go. Last few things I want to share with you before we load this thing up and get out of here is the trunk channel, which I've already done. It's the same thing. You want to clean all that old weather stripping out of there. Take the wire brush on that drill and just clean all that stuff right out. It rips right out pretty easily. That way they can get in here and clean this really good in case there was any rust. You don't have any more rust festering in that channel. And last but not least is probably one of the most important ones, at least to me. There's this body trim tag associated mounted right here. You can see it sitting here now currently. Now this thing is made out of aluminum. Now the problem is, no matter how delicate that sandblaster guy might actually be, one pass over this with some sandblasting, it will distort, warp, and it'll actually distort it so bad you really can't make out the words. So I would advise either removing like I did here, or covering this up with tape, duct tape. That'll kind of help preserve or keep the media blasting and inform the guy, do not blast on this here. I like to take it off because sometimes there's actually rust behind this. This one's actually pretty clean, but these old habits die hard. I like to remove the tag here, keep it, and when I get it back, I will chemically remove all the paint off of this, and then we'll paint this to match the firewall. So that's probably one of the biggest things I wanted to share with you. So now, let's get this thing loaded up on the trailer and get it cleaned up. Ready to go on the trailer. Got the ramps ready to go. Hopefully this rolls up with no major catastrophes, but we're about to find out, I guess. That's not like the sketchiest thing I've done in a long time. That wasn't so bad. All right, it's on the trailer. All loaded up, ready to go. We'll be back here in just a bit, hopefully with a clean car. And look, just like that, TV magic, all blasted, looking a whole lot better. Got everything all blasted, cleaned up, added a few extra bits here. So get it unloaded. We'll do it once around, see how bad or what's left of it. But I don't really see a whole lot of issues. No surprises on this go around. So I'll get this thing unloaded and put it in here. We'll do a walk around. All right, get everything unloaded. Got to shoot a few things I want to show you. But overall, very happy with the results. First time I've used this fella. His name is Scott. Scott's Blasting here in Indianapolis. I'll put a link here somewhere on the screen. I would definitely give him a call if you're in the Indiana or Indianapolis area to help you out with your car, because the guy was straight up honest, reasonably priced, did everything I asked him to do, and then did what I didn't want him to do, did not blast the rear quarter panels. He was kind of straight with me. If you got a real long flat panel, he's kind of so so-so about blasting those. I'd rather the guy be honest before he just goes and trashes these new panels, because he says, I think I can do it, and then tears it up. So he did me right, that's what I'm trying to say. So I think I found me a new media blaster guy. So now let's get down to business. Looking the car over, really didn't find anything out of the ordinary, anything scary. Looks pretty good. We've got to get all this stuff out now. The sandblasting media, it's everywhere. Now I've got a way to get some of that stuff out, and it's not just blowing it out with compressed air. That's part of the process, but not everything. We're going to use a piece called a DRD. You know what that is? Stay tuned for the next episode. I was talking about here, this is the aftermath now. Check out this little triangle. That's stamped in the metal. This is why we scrape all that rubber out. It cleans this thing really good. Here's a part where here I didn't scrape it off, and look, completely 100% still intact. That stuff does not come off. And like I said, the blasting media kind of bounces off it. So it's just imagine if we didn't clean all that channel out, it'd all be that way. And if there was any kind of rust or contamination or anything, it wouldn't have got blasted out. So that's why wire brush, clean that really good. Same as the trunk jam back here. Check this thing out. I mean, this thing's really clean. No adhesive, no crud, no nothing there. But you have to do some prep work. Even Scott says, well, heck, I'm glad you did that, because normally what he gets, all the weather stripping is all packed in, and he even says it won't come out. So that's a good little thing, a little tip. This is what it looks like afterwards. Why those little things are important prior to taking it to media blasting. Well, there's the why. He got everything all blasted here inside the convertible well for me. A little light in this area here, but I'll just take a DA. It's a flat panel. We'll sand that. Got my seat back. Insides of the quarter panels there. Dash is all blasted. Really liking how that looks. Got a little touch-up work right here. He missed a spot, so I'm going to roll this out in the driveway and get my spot blaster on that. But the only thing we did find, got a little bit of cancer right here, so I got to make me a little piece. It started poking through, so he stopped right there. But other than that, the firewall looks phenomenal. Love it. It's going to be easy to get that all epoxy and paint. Now, the thing I do also like what he did, we talked about it. There's a bunch of body filler and a body panel. I'd rather have a panel come back like this as opposed to him stripping it all out. It will warp the heck out of it. This is that side that we fixed. It looks really nice, but I didn't realize I probably should have a little dig, or I guess dig a little deeper. There was a lot of body filler here and here on this thing. So again, this is what I'd rather see when it comes back to the media blaster. I'll go ahead and sand this out and clean it, and then do some hammer and dolly work on that thing. So it should be in pretty good sorts. Subframe, found a couple little surprises. The welds obviously are way less than spectacular here from the factory. Look at all that porosity. Obviously some kind of contamination, they weld that. So I'm thinking I'm going to grind that out and re-weld that. These are things you can inspect once you get it back from media blasting. So last car I did, these are kind of rusted out. These are in great shape. So I'm just seeing redoing a couple of the welds here. This one's looking kind of marginal here too. So I'm going to do a pass on that, clean that up. But the body mount holes, surprisingly, in good shape. Now I got to change the cross member out. I need to do the Turbo 400 cross member, so I'll be taking that out there. And last but not least here, fender well, and it's just sheet metal. Come out pretty good. Sad part is I don't need that one. I already have a brand new one for that side. So anyway, I need to find a driver's side inner fender well. The center section of our differential, that is cast. That is a must to get in primer ASAP. Casts just don't last. when it's bare. By the end of today, if I don't get that thing in some kind of primer, it will be orange and rusty. Sheet metal is pretty forgiving. Frame material is forgiving, but cast is not. So as soon as you get something home from it, do not touch it. Do not get your oil from your hands on it. Get it cleaned off as soon as possible and make this the top of your list. Get those parts done first. Like spring steel sometimes does it, but definitely cast iron parts will rust immediately. So get those in primer first. Hey, Project Mockingbird finally blasted. I wasn't really planning on doing everything in one pass, but since it's a mobile blast guy, it's not as convenient just to drop it off and pick it up later. So I went ahead and had a lot more workload for me here. I really wanted to focus on just the body, but hey, do what you can with what you got. What he did here, all the stuff you see sandblasted, really fair price. Not as cheap as my old guy, but I feel very competitive and fair and decent work or quality work. I mean, it's just, how do you rate that necessarily? So I would definitely recommend him. So Scott Mobile Blasting. I'll link here in the, I guess, the video description if you'd like to use him. Indianapolis guy, sorry you can't drive to Arizona or Pennsylvania, but he may be able to help you out a good range around here in Indianapolis. So next go around, working on cleaning that body out, getting things prepped. We're going to do probably a separate video on just what to do prior to painting to make for the best seal up job on epoxy. But I'm got some blue skies and sunshine. I'm definitely going to get some paint on that differential. We talked about the why on that, but we're going to use a special tool, DRD. You ask what that is? Well, better wait and see. Check out the next episode and you'll get a laugh, or John, that was dumb. But either way, that's going to be the next step here on the Project Mockingbird. Then, of course, I'll keep on plugging away here, getting the videos, and hope to see you guys next time.